Giant sequoias, the largest trees on Earth, are thriving in Britain, according to a new study. Researchers from Britain's Royal Society found that the forest giants are growing at a rate nearly equivalent to those found in their native range in the U.S. state of California. Sequoias, also known as giant redwoods, were introduced to British country estates as a status symbol in the 19th century. Now there are an estimated 500,000 in the country, compared with 80,000 in California's Sierra Nevada mountains, where the threat from wildfires and droughts is greater. Giant sequoias grow fast, provide shade and benefits such as absorbing carbon, and can live for more than 3,000 years. However, researchers say their impact on native biodiversity in the UK is not yet fully understood.
I'm here to announce the first of its kind investment, $3.3 billion in 132 projects in 42 states, going to help right historic wrongs.
U.S. President Joe Biden visited the political battleground state of Wisconsin on Wednesday to tout his administration's investments in communities and the creation of jobs across the country, after he and his Republican rival Donald Trump both officially won their party's presidential nomination, setting up a rematch of the 2020 election. In Milwaukee, Biden promoted his signature achievements, including infrastructure and inflation reduction legislation, while criticizing his opponent's economic policies.
My predecessor talked about infrastructure week for 4 years. He didn't get a single thing done, not one.
After Tuesday's primary contests in 4 states, Biden and Trump both secured enough delegates to formally become the presumptive nominees.
This one got us over the top.
In a video celebrating the nomination posted on social media, Trump called Biden the worst president in U.S. history and declared, quote, "The nation is failing."
We're going to turn it around. We're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to close our borders. We're going to do things like nobody's ever seen before, and we're going to make our nation's economy be the best ever in the world.
Voters have expressed little enthusiasm for a repeat of the bitter 2020 election, with polls from Reuters Ipsos showing both Biden and Trump are unpopular with the majority of voters. Trump's myriad criminal charges could harm his standing among suburban and well-educated voters whose support he has historically struggled to garner. Meanwhile, Biden has been dogged by the perception among a majority of voters that he is too old to serve a second 4-year term, though allies believe his fiery State of the Union address may serve to counter that notion. Biden's visit to Wisconsin is part of a month-long blitz aimed at rallying supporters in each of the 7 battleground states that could decide the 2024 election. Biden won Wisconsin in 2020 by less than 1% of votes. In 2016, the state supported Trump over Hillary Clinton.
Security camera footage that may show who worked on the door plug which blew off an Alaska Airlines Boeing 737 MAX in January have been overwritten. That's according to a letter Wednesday from National Transportation Safety Board's chair Jennifer Homendy to U.S. senators. The question of who exactly worked on that component of the plane when it was repaired last year has kept federal officials puzzled amid growing scrutiny of work practices at one of the world's biggest plane makers. Homendy said, quote, "The absence of those records will complicate the NTSB's investigation moving forward." Last week, in a Senate committee hearing, Homendy had said she spoke to Boeing CEO David Calhoun and asked for the names of those who performed repairs on the door. Calhoun said he was unable to provide that information. She said he told her Boeing has no records of the work being performed. A Boeing official told Reuters on condition of anonymity, the standard practice at Boeing is to overwrite security videos after 30 days, but declined to answer additional questions. The NTSB said last month 4 key bolts were missing from the door plug that blew out on the plane. It turns out the documents detailing the door plug removal that were required by Boeing's practices were never created, according to a Boeing letter to a senator on Friday. At last week's hearing, Homendy also criticized Boeing's lack of cooperation with investigators and failure to disclose some documents. She called it absurd that the NTSB did not have a 25-name list of door crew at Boeing's 737 factory 2 months later. However, hours after Homendy made those comments, Boeing provided the list, according to an NTSB spokesperson. The Federal Aviation Administration has grounded the MAX 9 for several weeks after an audit found production issues with the jet. The Justice Department also opened a criminal investigation into the mid-air emergency in January.